Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan, and I'm the personal finance librarian at the San Francisco Public Library's Business Science and Technology Center. Uh, Again, thank you for joining us today for Summer of Savings. While we give people a little more time to sign into the webinar, I have a few quick library announcements. First, if you need closed captions during the presentation, click on the Show Captions button in the Zoom menu. If you don't see it there, click on More. You should be able to find that button. The San Francisco Public Library acknowledges that we occupy the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. As uninvited guests, we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community. All right. You can visit the Business Science and Technology Center on the fourth floor of the main library. Email us at bizscitech@sfpl.org or call us at 557-4488. You can also contact us through our chat reference service, which can be found on the library's homepage. Look for the Chat with Us button or scroll down to the Contact Us link. To learn more about the business and finance resources that we offer, head to the library's homepage, where you can find us under the Research and Learn tab. You can also go directly to the department page at sfpl.org/BST. And if you're interested in recordings of our past programs, visit the SFPL's YouTube channel. You can find recordings of programs like this one at on.sfpl.org/success. And we have some great programs coming up. On Wednesday, March 27th, attorneys from the Security and Exchange Commission will join us to discuss ways to avoid falling victim to investment fraud and other resources that are available at investor.gov. Then on June 3rd, we have two virtual programs that will help you plan for the future and beyond. First, in partnership with the Office of Financial Empowerment, we'll have a workshop on legacy planning and retirement readiness. You can learn practical strategies to protect what matters most, gain actionable insights to strengthen your financial plan, and explore resources to guide your next steps. And then an hour later in Write Your Own Obituary, learn the basics of obituary informational content and style from the experts at SFPL's Magazines and Newspapers Center. Those librarians service dozens of obituary requests every month. They'll cover how to preserve the details of your life by writing your own obituary and providing for its publication in your legacy planning. And then while tax season is over, it doesn't mean that tax headaches have gone away. On Thursday, June 26th, join us for Don't Panic, a guide to handling IRS notices. You'll learn how to confidently handle IRS letters by understanding what they mean, what your options are, and how to respond effectively before problems escalate. And if you're looking for more personalized guidance in handling your tax troubles, the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic will be returning to the main library on these two dates to offer free 30-minute legal consultations on tax issues. Consultations are available on a first-come, first-served basis. Please check in at the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic table in the atrium lobby to make a same-day appointment. And there are no income limits for these consultations. All right, you can stay updated about all of these and all of our resources and upcoming programs via our events calendar or by subscribing to our once-a-month email newsletter. Scan the QR codes or follow the links on this slide. And I will post all the links shared in this introduction in the chat in just a moment, and the slideshow will be shared in a follow-up email. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand it over to my colleague at the Office of Financial Empowerment, Hafiza, who will introduce today's presentation. Thanks, Hafiza.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, and a warm welcome to everyone joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here for the San Francisco Financial Counseling webinar, Summer of Saving, which we are hosting in partnership with the San Francisco Library. A little bit about us. San Francisco Financial Counseling is one of the flagship programs of the Office of Financial Empowerment. which is part of the Treasurer and Tax Collector's Office here in San Francisco. Our mission in the Office of Financial Empowerment is straightforward. We bring people together, come up with new ideas, and advocate for ways to help all San Franciscans strengthen their economic security and mobility. I'm Hafiza Salaban. I'm with the Policy and Communications team for the Treasurer and Tax Collector's Office. And some of you may know San Francisco Financial Counseling, which was formerly known as Smart Money Coaching, provides free one-on-one financial counseling to anyone who lives, works, or receives services here in San Francisco, regardless of immigration status or income bracket. Our service is open to as many people as possible. The San Francisco Financial Counseling services are funded by multiple San Francisco city departments, and the services are provided by different service providers who have expertise in providing financial capability services to various communities in San Francisco. The San Francisco LGBT Center is one of those service providers, and our San Francisco financial counselors joining us today are from the LGBT Center. Before I introduce our counselors, just a couple of housekeeping items. This session is being recorded, and the slides will be made available to all those who registered for this event. Also, please submit your questions using the Q&A feature. Our presenters will answer questions at the end of the presentation. And with that, let me introduce you to today's presenters. Today we have Andrea, who was born and raised in South America and earned her degree from Caracas, Venezuela. She has over 10 years of experience in business and corporate law as a legal assistant and legal business advisor. She is passionate about combing her interest career and her background as a native Spanish speaker to empower others in her community. We also have the pleasure of having Tori, who was raised in the Midwest and brings a grounded, client-first approach shaped by years of housing policy work, political organizing, and campaigns across the Bay Area. They hold a master's degree in urban and public affairs from the University of San Francisco with a focus on affordable housing policy. So take it away, Tori and Andrea.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Thank you so much for being here today. I think now everybody can see it. Perfect. For today, we are gonna have her, and I'm gonna start my video so you can focus on your screen. So today we're gonna talk about summers of savings. Okay, this is just some housekeeping to keep in mind. Please keep your questions for the end. We're gonna answer every questions that you may have, but this is gonna be a very interactive workshop. So please share all your personal experience or give you. Okay, let me see. Okay, guys, can everybody see my presentation now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. So we can move forward. It was very interesting today. Okay. Okay, but what's the goal for a workshop today? So we're going to talk about the spending plan and savings. Our workshop is going to be 100% focused on tips for saving and how you can start and how you can keep growing savings for yourself. Okay, so we're going to talk about the spending plan, how create a budget, understanding your financial habits, and how budget better, how you can set up your goals, and better tips for budgeting. Okay, and we're gonna be focused on savings tip for saving more every month, and type of savings, vehicles, and compounding. So let's start for a spending plan. Okay, how the spending plan and your budget is going to be always your foundation and the base for you to know better what is your your actual financial situation and how you can achieve your goal. So your spending plan is going to be the roadmap for your money and for your goals and your dreams and whatever goals you want to achieve. But the roadmap is going to help you to see where you are right now and how you can move forward. Also, it's very important because it's going to help you to keep honest and realistic about your situation and what your payment capacity is. Help you to reach your goals way more easy, and it's gonna help you to build and create the habit for you to start savings. So this is something that I always talk to my clients, and is that budgeting can be hard, but it doesn't have to be hard all the time. When we heard the budget word, sometimes we have some reactions, okay, and we don't like it because sometimes budgeting hurt. But when you hear budgeting, sometimes sounds like someone telling you what to do, or someone reflecting you what your hard financial situation is, or it's going to reflect your barriers. I know those words can be related with budget, and many of us are hard time to stick with the spending plan. Okay, just putting everything on writing can be really easy, but following the spending plan can be hard. But it doesn't have to be always like that. I want you to think about your budget as a tool that is going to help you to achieve your financial goals. So let's take a moment, and I would like to, if you want to, okay, and you feel like, share your feelings when you think about money. Okay, what are your feelings when you heard budgeting, and how do you feel when you heard the word money? Okay, those feelings sometimes are unconscious stories we tell ourselves about the money, or stories that we heard before, some financial trauma, or it could be, some other like very positive thoughts that we have and feelings that we had about money. But I want you to keep thinking, okay? And again, if you want to share, when you heard the word budget, what come to your mind first? So it's very important to know what relationship we had with our money first. So it's one of the longest relationship we have. So do you remember your first experience with money and what it was? So how do you think that experience affect your money and your relationship? I'm gonna focus this again on savings. It could be like also like little information, okay, about or education about finance and money, and it could be a result of feelings, stories, and even superstitions. Often advice from family, friends, online, on any background and environment that you lived before. So our money habits are hard to change, but are not impossible. I really believe like they're rooted in inner psychologist and emotional, and those are deeply habituals, but those are behaviors that we can change. It's not impossible. It's just about like how we can change our mindset, and those feelings, and how we relate with our money and our spending. So how it's gonna easy to know how, if you don't know yet what your feelings are. So we can identify our values, and that's gonna help you to shift your habit related to your money. So, and think what your values are. Your values are more focused on your people, activity, thing that you earn. What is the most important thing to you? And how do you spend your money? What do you spend your money on this month? What do you spend your money today? What is the expense that you have always included on your budget, and annually included on your budget? Do your values align with your spending plan? For example, like if you love your family, your spending plan is aligned with those values. Are you spending more money on your family? Are you spending more money on yourself? If someone happened to see your bank account, let's say that you show me your bank account or your credit card bill. I mean, as your financial coach, but as your friend or someone strange that is looking at your statement, what did the person say about your values? Okay, what your bank statements reflect of your values and your habit. Think about that, and again, if you want to share, more than happy to hear it. And but once you identify what your values are and what is your current spending plan, it's important for you to set up your goals. What do you want to achieve? Okay. And once you set up your goals, then you're gonna know what your barriers are. But we need to start thinking like, what do you want and what do you want to achieve? So if you could accomplish one thing with your money, what will be? Okay, what is in your mind right now? What do you want? If you could do one additional thing with your money, what it will be? Continue as you accomplish more goals. But right now, I want you to think what your financial goal it is. So when we set up our financial goals, sometimes we think what we want, but we need to make it like very effectively. Okay. So the tip to set up financial goals, it will be always using the word smart. And we use acronym SMART because it's going to help us to make our goal specific, measurable, action oriented, reachable, and time bound. Okay, your goals have to be like very, very specific. What do you want? Do you want to save money or do you want to reduce your debt? Because the spending plan is going to be the same, but the way and the process to achieve your goals are going to be different. Also, I will always recommend my clients to make their goals like very, very realistic. Okay, sometimes we need to put it on writing, but we need to know like how we can achieve their goals and if it's possible. So let's say that you want to save money now for the holiday gift later this year. And this is just an example, and it's a very simple example for you to know that using these letters are going to be super easy for you to have an action plan. So I will save $10 each month for 6 months. Okay, and I'm gonna have $60 extra at the end for my holiday gift. Okay, and how am I gonna do that? How it's gonna be possible? I'm gonna save the money on my bank account, or I'm gonna have cash, for example, and how it's gonna be the process. But let's say that we have a middle term goal. Okay, which is not gonna be that basic. So we can say, I wish I could buy a house in San Francisco. Okay, and when you say a wish, it started with a wish, but it's possible. Okay, but you just need a plan. So based on the BMR housing cost and the minimum 3% down payment, I need to save $20,000. So based on my budget, I know I can afford to set aside $300 per month. If I cut back on holiday gift, buying clothes, or eating out. That's mean that you already set up your goals, but you need to know also like what can you modify to achieve that goal. So it's important like once you have your goals, okay, you already set up and you know how you can achieve those. Create accountability for yourself. And how can I'm not gonna say push myself, but I love to use more the word like motivating myself and actually take action. But the tips to do it, it will be, for example, like write it down, post them, share them with others. For example, like, hey, this is my goal, and I know like if I share that with other people, I'm gonna have some pressure to achieve my goals, or I'm gonna have some pressure for myself because I already know that I need to achieve those goals. So have a trusted friend to follow up with you. It could be your cheerleader, or it could be someone that reminds you that you have that goal, or it could be your financial counselor. So, how can I create a spending plan? Keep track of your money. Okay, is also in the basic matter of the spending plan is not more than your income and your expenses. Income is all the money that is coming and is being deposited on your bank account or you receive in cash, and your spending is like how the money going out. Okay, so once you know how much money you have coming in and how much money coming out, this is when everything gets started like very interesting. Okay, so you need to organize your expenses. And sometimes you need to also organize your income if you have more than one or different type of income. But let's not make it that complicated. Let's just start organize your expenses. So you can start it like organized by categories. Like you can just put like what are your fixed expenses, your flexible expenses, and that's going to include your rent, your utilities, your groceries, transportation, etc. So you need to include also your debt. So minimal payments each month, and then I will recommend you to start increasing and make modifications. But always when you create your spending plan at first, please input just your minimal payment. And also it's very important for your spending plan, including your savings. Okay, I know that sometimes it's gonna be a modification that we're gonna make at the end, but always include like your income, your expenses, organize your debt and your savings. Look at the ways that you can redirect the money toward your financial goals. In this case, it's gonna be how we can make modifications or a budget or a spending plan to achieve saving financial goals. So your spending plan is going to be your guide, okay? And it's going to be the guide and the map for you to reach your goals. So once you know how much money you're spending and you determine what expenses you may modify to achieve your goals, it's very important for you to track your spending. Okay, your budget and your spending plan is going to be a live document and it's going to be changing every month. Okay, to not make it could be changed like every day, it could be changed every month, but I would recommend you to change and review your spending plan every month. But you have to keep tracking your expenses. So how you can track your expenses? I don't usually recommend my clients to track their expenses every day, because if you're working on your financial plan and you're working on your spending plan for the first time, that could be very overwhelmed, but it's whatever works for you. So you can use a notebook and just write it down, every single expense that you have daily or weekly. You can use the envelope method, which is gonna be half envelope for each category that you use. Okay, so let's say, and you don't need to use the envelope, but you can just write it down as a form of envelope in everything, and using a notebook, and just input the amount that you want to spend on every single category. Okay, you can use your bank statement. If you are not a person that wants to track their expenses every week or every day, you can use your bank statement. This is gonna be a little bit tricky because it's gonna be after you already spend your money. So I would recommend you to use the notebook and also like divide your spending plan, whatever you are spending right now and whatever you want to spend. So that's gonna help you to modify your spending plan. So you can use an app map, which I would recommend you once after you use a notebook, but it's whatever works for you to track your expenses. And it's very important that you use a method for track your expenses, and it's gonna be something that works for you, or you are not gonna have the habit to maintain it. So keeping up with your spending plan. As we say, set up your goals for your spending plans based on your values, and that's going to be your budget. These goals can change over time. Can change because you don't have those goals anymore, or your goals doesn't have any meaning for you, or because you already achieved your goals and you're ready to move forward with another financial goals. So give yourself some room for errors, okay? And then move forward. Budgeting is the only value if you stick with. You can input your budget, and you can have a perfect budget, even a real life one. Okay, connect and to your bank account. But if you don't use it and you don't make any modifications, then it's gonna be useless. Any type of budgeting takes some time and commit. Okay, that's why big companies pay a lot of money for budget. So always be flexible with yourself. Okay, take time to work on it. Take time to make the time. Okay, like 20 minutes to track your expenses. Make time for you to review what you can modify, but also be flexible with yourself because it takes time to create the habit to stick to your budget. Emergencies and a mistake happen. So always understand that you can go back on track. Okay. So that's what I say. Give yourself a little bit room and don't be afraid to get help. Free financial counselors are available for you to assist. Okay, so always you can count with us. I know that sometimes follow an action plan and having a spending plan can hurt, but you don't have to do it yourself. And you can also receive some support and motivation from your financial counselor. So this is an example of the spending plan, and it's actually the spending plan that we use and our housing counselor use. And it's very simple, okay? But it could looks like very overwhelmed because there is a lot of information that you can input, that you have to input on this, and takes time to do it. So this is why I want you to look at your spending plan as a tool, and it doesn't have to be boring and it doesn't have to be overwhelmed. Always think about your budget and your spending plan as a tool that is going to help you to achieve your financial goals. And as you can see here, you have the actual expenses and you have another one for your goals. Okay, so it's very important to know like how much are you spending and how you can modify all your spending. Entering income into your spending plan. Include all your incomes, all. Okay, sometimes we have different type of income. You can have your regular wage, but you can also make receiving tips. You can have like a second job, or you can make receiving public benefits, etc. So think about your gross versus your net. Okay, always input your net income on your spending plan. Never use your gross because your gross income is your total income before your paycheck deduction. So if you use your gross income into your spending plan, you're gonna think that you have more money than you can you're gonna think that you have more money available for spending that you don't have. So always please use your net income, and it's gonna be actually easier for you because it's gonna be just a simple amount to input. Tip for expenses. Be sure to include all your expenses on your budget. It's very important for you to know your fixed expenses. It's the same every month. The best example is going to be your rent. Your rent is going to change, but it's not going to change every month. It's going to change maybe every year. So that's the easiest one. But we also have fixed expenses that are periodic, like fixed expenses, but not monthly. Please include those expenses and include the frequency of those expenses. We have also flexible expenses that change every month. So it's very important for you to know like what's the max amount that you may spend every month on those flexible expenses. Always round it up. Never input a lower amount. Revolving expenses, obligations to pay to creditor for goods and services. The best example is going to be credit card, car loans, student loans, etc. So there is a common spending plan question. Dealing with infrequency expenses. Estimate annual expenses on those and on your spending plan. How you can include those expenses. Always check and calculate how much money are you spending annual and divide that amount by 12. Or enter the actual expenses in the month that occur and include that subcategory in infrequent expenses. Something that I always recommend to my clients is use your saving accounts and have a fund for future expenses, which is usually infrequent expenses the month, but you can keep saving the money for those expenses like every month. And also include emergencies. So also it's very important, like for example, like my friend paid me back on Venmo. So let's say that you go to dinner, somebody paid the bill, and your friends are gonna send you the Venmo. You can enter the payback as an income and just put the total amount of the expense of the dinner, or you can reduce the expense, reducing the expense for the dinner. That's an example as a payback. There is no right way to budget, okay? Do what works for you. Everybody has a different mindset. Everybody has a different schedule. Everybody has different habits. Everybody has a different ways to work, and everybody has different ways to take action. So whatever works for you, it's gonna be whatever you can maintain, at least for a year, or let's say 6 months to be a little bit more flexible. So what about if you're working on your spending plan? What about if you come up short? So evaluate what happened. If this is gonna be temporary or it's gonna be permanent. I would say like if that's gonna give you uh, an accurate expectations, okay? And that's gonna help you to know how you can solve and what actions you may take. So it's impossible for you to increase your income, like finding a second job, work overtime, negotiate a higher salary or wage, sell part of your asset, hold a jar or a garage sale, teach any skills and activities, change rent. If you can also evaluate your tax withholding. There is many ways that you can actually increase your income. But what about if you cannot increase your income? Like, hey, Andrea, I've been working already 60 hours, and even though my expenses is still higher, so a second job isn't gonna help me to, yeah, it's not gonna help me to improve my budget. Then there is only other way to do it, and it's going to be about reducing your expenses. To balance your budget, there is only two ways: increasing your income or reduce your expenses. So you can use your spending plan to know like how you can spend less. Okay, you can need to look at your spending plan and see what categories or what items you may able to reduce. So can you find less expensive way to meet your needs? For example, like having any substitutions for your groceries, or thinking about if you may reduce all your wants and keep your need. Can you negotiate a lower payment on obligations? Everybody's needs are different. Okay, so there is very, very common in San Francisco that we spend a lot of money on food. Okay, so but if it's something that you need, then you may need to consider reduce other expenses. This is just an example. I always tell my clients to improve their needs, but also like improve your budget, embracing whatever is important for you and align with your values. So there is other way to cut costs, and it will be checking assistant options, eliminate your ones if you can, cancel services. Sometimes downgrade services is not going to be enough. Limit your spending, reduce your debt, moving to more affordable housing, reducing insurance cover for lower premiums, but never cancel your insurance. Because that's another way that you can actually save money. So making change to build saving. So this is gonna be 100% focus on savings. So your spending plan can help you to find the ways to make a small change with a big impact. So this is an example. A couple wants to increase their savings. One person agreed to buy commute, saving $75 per month on transit. Both agreed to eat less takeout. So savings are gonna be 75 every month each. So that's going to give us a total of $100 per month. they can input into savings. After 10 years of one interest rate, it's gonna be about $18,920. With 6% interest rate, it's going to be about 24,580. This is in case that you already check your spending plan and you determine what expenses you may be able to reduce. So, tip to build your savings. Include your savings on your goals, okay? But always include your savings on your budget. Determine your needs versus your wants. And remember that you already set up your goals. So your savings has to be included on your wants at first. And then your savings need to become a need. So always include your savings and find a meaning for that. Pay yourself first by setting auto transfer to your savings. So this is can sometimes work perfectly fine, okay? And this is something that I always recommend to my clients. When you pay yourself first, you need to have the habit to transfer money to your savings account. And sometimes it doesn't matter if you're saving $5 or you're paying 5,000. You always pay yourself first. Like you have to input your savings as one of your most important transfers. Save for specific goals. Okay, always find a meaning for your savings. That's going to help you to achieve your goals, but it's going to help you to keep your motivation on your goals. So let's say that you want to save because you want to buy a car. So auto savings, eh, it's gonna be whatever you want to input, okay? But you need to determine it, like how much do you need and how much do you want to save. So always save and transfer the money, but you need to know exactly what your goals is. Start with Start with something small. As I said before, it doesn't matter if it's $5 per month or you are saving 5,000. The most important thing when you're starting your saving, especially if you think like it's gonna be impossible for you or it's the first time that you're working on your saving, is first of all believe that you can save money. Okay, don't push yourself that much. Be flexible. Remember, it's your first time. And that flexibility is going to help you to build the habit of your savings. So don't pay attention that much about the amount. Be flexible, but always include those at least $5 included on your savings. Take advantage of one-time savings. Okay, this is going to be including tax refunds, birthdays, holidays, bonuses, etc. Quick ways to set up for emergency funds. So you can, all those incomes that are not included in your spending plan, you can automatically transfer to your savings. Don't include those on your budget. Avoid any unnecessary fees from debt. Okay, put your bills on auto payment. Try to reduce your debt so you're gonna be saving money on interest. Pay more than your minimal payment, and also take care of your insurance. Okay, when you pay your insurance, sometimes it looks like it's an spend and you're including that on your monthly. But if you have any emergency and you need to use it, I promise. First of all, it's not going to affect your savings, but it's going to help you to save money in the future. So what about if I cannot include my savings yet? Okay, always take time. Okay, make modifications first. So be flexible with yourself, but keep trying. Saving may have to wait until you have and you make already change. Okay. There is something common that I have seen on my clients is like they already have the habit to save money. But if you're not realistic about how much money you can transfer and input to your savings, then you're going to have a cycle habit to transfer and think like you're increasing your savings, but then at the end of the month, you may need to use it again. That helps, okay? I will always recommend that for security, but your motivation about your savings are gonna change. So always make sure that you already modify your spending plan and your budget to make your transfer and build your savings in a realistic way. Ask yourself, do I have any expenses that do not align with my values? Can I go after a big win? So it's going to be a new job or a raise, more affordable transportation or housing. That comes to my mind, for example, like, do I have an expense that align with my values? Is, for example, what I'm spending more. Okay, don't be afraid. Like, if you are looking at your spending plan and you're overspending or something, that's actually the item that is going to help you to improve your saving. Just reducing that spend by 25% at first. Always evaluate your needs and your wants. Okay, rank your experience in order, like what is more or less important to you. Everybody works in different ways. Everybody has different needs. Okay, and it doesn't matter. Your needs doesn't and your wants doesn't have to align with your friends or anybody else. But you need to know actually how you can make those modifications. Do you want to modify your wants or do you want to modify your needs? Sometimes your needs can be wants and sometimes your wants can be needs. Okay. And that may sound a little bit tricky, but it doesn't matter. Like, always check where are you overspending and how you can be flexible with yourself. But it's very important for you to set up your mindset and know on your expanding plan what do you need and how you can be flexible with yourself. So, how can I save money? Andrea, I already review my spending plan. I already make any modifications that I could. I already know what I want. I already know what I need. And now I'm able to save money, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to save money. I don't know how to know if my savings are growing. So there's many ways that you can save. And that's not an excuse for you to not start saving your money, because you can start your savings at home under your matrix, which is not my favor. Okay, I gotta be clear. A savings account at any bank or credit union, or you can use any certificate of deposit at a bank or credit union. So, what about having my savings in cash? Okay, and put it under my matrix and having at home. So there is advantages and disadvantages. If you keep all your money in cash, there is no fees, there is no rules, but there is easy access. Disadvantages can be lost, can be stolen, maybe destroyed if something happened, is a fire, a flood, etc. And it's gonna be also a disadvantage, like easy access to the money, okay? Especially if you don't know how to control your expenses and your spending habit. So you can also save money on your savings account, which is what I highly recommend. At least for me, it's more for security at first and then for achieving financial goals. So savings accounts advantages is like is insured by your bank and your credit union. So often banks can offer direct deposit, part of the paycheck. You can set up automatically transfers from your checking and may earn some interest. Okay. And again, other advantages of your savings account is going to be always security compared with having your savings in cash or having your savings in any other model. So one of the disadvantages will be the fees. Looking for free accounts, you can also look like a bank on program. The fees are pretty low, and also bank on has some bank accounts that can waive those fees. So may have limit numbers of withdrawals, and interest may be lower than other options. Also, you can save your money on certificate of deposit. Again, it's insurance by your bank account or your credit union. Advantages, like most people want, is like you can earn like higher interest from your savings. Disadvantages, fees or for early withdrawals may be high and you don't have easy access to your money because the money is going to be locked for a specific period of time. So it's very important to know when you set up your goals for savings, if your goal is going to be for a short time goal or it's going to be for a long time goal. Sometimes my clients want to save money because they need to earn and they need to make some money and get some profit from their savings, but you cannot lock your money. So that's very important to know if your short-term goal is it's gonna be better and start with a savings account or it's gonna be a long-term goal for a certificate of deposit. What I would recommend you is to have your savings for emergency first and then have some room for certificate of deposit. Please always walk before you run, okay? Or it's gonna be a little bit messy based on what option you may choose. So, but also savings can help you to earn some money on interest. So interest is money that financial institution pay you for keeping money deposit with them. Expressed as a percentage. May need to pay income tax on interest. So every single penny that you earn from any interest that you make, it's gonna have some tax implications. So current interest rates on different bank products for savings account at major banks is gonna be 0.34. This may not be accurate by today, but it's very, very similar like what's the current rate. Okay, but there is a difference between a regular savings account and a certificate of deposit. The certificates of deposit, the interest rates are going to be higher. So as we can see here, if we compare, a bank account is going to be 0.38 compared with a certificate of deposit for a year, it's going to be 1.53. 3 years is going to be 1.33 and 5 years is going to be 1.35. Compounding means you earn interest on interest. So every interest that you earn, it's gonna be added to your savings, and then the interests are gonna be calculated based on the new or updated amount of your saving. So the power of compounding. Saving $5 every month compared with keeping your money in cash in a bank account paying 1.5. So for 1 year, $5 multiplied by 12 months is gonna be $60. If you keep your money in cash. But if you keep your money in a savings account that you can get paid, it's gonna be 60.49. For 10 years, it's gonna be $600. Compounding is gonna be 647. For 30 years, 1,800, or compared with the bank account, different is gonna be very shocking because it's gonna be 2,274. Okay. And I know 3 years sounds like very, very long time to make some money on your savings. But what I want to show in here is like the difference between having your money in cash or just leave it on your bank account. Okay. This is just using the example of $5, but savings can be higher. So next step, write it down one top money goal for this year, 5 years and 20 years. As I said before, this is very important for you to know what your long-term goals are because your options are going to be different. If you want to save money for a year, then your options are not going to be the same. So estimate how much money each month you can save, but also estimate how much each goal may cost and what change you're able to make for yourself. Track expenses for 1 or 2 months. are these way to, I mean, are there is any way to achieve any spending toward my savings or three goals? There is something important when we change our expenses. Okay, if you're gonna change your expenses and you're gonna reduce any expense, it's very for you for make it works, that money that you're saving and you're reducing has to go directly to your savings account or your savings goal. Because if you change and you already modify your spending plan, but you're not using that money directly for your savings, then you are not working on your goal. So it's very important for you to set up your goal and stick to your spending plan. But if you're going to use that money to reduce your debt, to improve your bills, or increase any other expenses, or add in any other expenses to your spending plan, please go back and review your spending plan. That money that you're saving, when you make any modification, has to go through your savings. This is the end of the presentation, but I want to share some of my experience when I'm working on my savings goal with my clients. I always recommend my clients to, of course, make the modifications and transfer it directly to their savings account. Pay yourself first, okay? Your savings account depend of like what your mindset, it could be added as another expenses, okay? And you have to push yourself a little bit, okay? But also keep tracking of your savings the same way that you're tracking your expenses. And because that's going to help you to know if you are behind or taking action of your goals, or it's going to help you to take action and reroute your goal and knowing like if you're doing it right. But also it's going to help you to motivate yourself to grow in your savings. Another thing that can happen when you have savings for emergency is like your mindset is going to be like, I had savings, but I used those savings. Okay, and I want to share this because that's happened to me with a few of my clients. And then my client thought like they will never be able to rebuild your savings. Well, it's not truth because if you did it before, you're gonna do it again. Okay, when you have savings for emergency, you already have a destination for that. And I don't want you to drop your motivation if that's the case. Okay, always keep in mind that you can have savings. If you never have savings in the past, it's very important for you to know that it's possible, okay? But sometimes it's not gonna be easy. You need to make modifications on your spending plan, you need to take actions, and you may need to change things that is gonna take time for you to change your habit. But always believe that you can save money and don't be afraid of any emergency that can happen in the future. The most important is to know that once you have the habit of your savings and you already pay yourself first, you can always save more money or rebuild your savings again. So we're gonna check if there is any questions, and this is a workshop feedback. Again, you can scan the QR. It's very important for you to know about your opinion, and those are going to help us to keep working for you. If you have any question, very specific question, please don't hesitate to contact us for any specific things that you may need to address. And if you have a hard time saving money because you don't know how to do it and you don't know how to start, you don't have to do it yourself. Okay, you can always contact us and we're going to help you to create a spending plan, work on your spending plan, track your spending, also like work on the motivation for you to achieve those goals. So this is our contact information. And let's check if we do have any question. Let me put myself on mute. Let me check. I can check right here. Let me stop sharing my screen. The chat? Okay, let me go back to the chat. Oh, I cannot see it. Okay, so let me that. Okay, I got a question here from Abel Perez. Is it possible to save when I'm so restricted to what I do have? Where is it? Okay, I see like you already addressed that. Okay, so how you can make an appointment? Let me share my contact information. Yeah, one more. You can send me an email. I think there is an error here. Everybody's gonna receive the presentation and you're gonna see our contact info. So you can contact us and we can actually send you the scheduler, or you can just contact us and we're gonna add you to the system. But it's very important, please, guys, if you send me an email, please send your phone number so we can call you and it's gonna be easier to check our whatever time works for you so we can start your financially counseling very soon. Is any other questions? Any other comments? Okay, Tori, thank you. Tori already shared the link for you to use the scheduler for any appointment.
Well, thank you so much, Andrea and Tori, for that informative presentation. And thank you all for joining us today. We hope to see you sign up for a San Francisco Financial Counseling session and join us again next month for our webinar, Identity Theft Solutions with Balance, on June 16th, to learn about the different types of identity theft as well as proven steps you can take to minimize this impact. Thank you all again all for joining us today. I'll be sharing the recording along with the slides from today's presentation. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everyone. Take care.